They called it the WRAITH. No official designation. No registry. No homeworld. Just a shape drifting through the void, dark as a grave, silent as the end of hope. If you saw it, you were already dead. At least, that's what the Xarn believed. Until they boarded it. It started with an anomaly near the Hadda Rift, a distress signaling chant, Earth code flickering through the static, like a ghost calling from the deep. Fleet Command ignored it. Probably a derelict, but the Xarn didn't. They were scavengers. Parasites with delusions of empire. Half squid, half glass, and all ego. They'd been hunting old human war relics since the Treaty of Exile. They thought they could pick the wraith clean, strip it for tech, steal its neural core, sell its bones. Instead, they fed it. I was a war orphan, born on a mining barge, raised on ash and metal. My first memory was of Earth as a smear across a tactical display burning. After the Orion collapse, I never knew peace. I only knew survival and the wraith. It was my father, not biologically, but spiritually, practically. It raised me, trained me, saved me, and now it was awakening. The Xarn strike vessel, Grelvik, was the size of a city block, armed with pulse nets, atom fangs, and psychic disruptors. They cut into the wraith's hull, like grave robbers cracking a tomb. No alarms sounded, no defenses deployed. It was silent, waiting like breath held behind a smile. They floated in 6 in total, commandos elite, fully armored with translator spores and flesh-harvesting tools. Their mistake wasn't a breach, it was thinking. The wraith was empty. They reached the central core and found me, strapped to the ship's heart, eyes closed, breathing slow. They thought I was a relic, a living trophy. They didn't realize they were inside a lung, and I was the breath. When they touched me, the ship exhaled. The walls groaned. Lights flickered, red not from warning, but hunger. Then came the first scream. One of them vanished, mid-dash step. No flash, no sound, just gone. The second turned to run, and melted skin first, then bone into the deck plating. The third tried to fire. His gun disassembled in his hands, piece by piece, bolt by bolt, each part hovering in 0G, orbiting his skull like a mechanical halo until they fired back into him. The last 3 tried to escape. They didn't make it. The wraith hates cowards. I opened my eyes. The ship's core pulsed with warmth. The room no longer smelled like metal. It smelled like meat. I stood, my restraints falling away like ribbon. The ship spoke in my bones. They are fuel. And it meant it. The walls absorbed their remains, bone armor. Screams fed into the reactor matrix. Not to power the ship. No. To remember. The wraith doesn't burn enemies for propulsion. It converts them into memory. Energy, a forbidden neural drive built from agony and defiance. Every enemy consumed becomes part of its engine. I floated down the corridor, feet never touching the floor. The ship shaped itself around me, hallways bending, gravity shifting, systems singing. This was not steel, it was grief, forged and sharpened. And now, angry, because the wraith doesn't wake for no reason. Something pulled it from slumber. A voice, a scream, a lie. The distress signal wasn't random. It was bait set by someone who knew what we were, who wanted us to burn again. I touched the wall. Who sent it? The ship answered with a face. Xarn, but not just any Xarn. A general, a warlord, a butcher from the Orion collapse. His name was carved into my memories. Tezalvakar. He thought the wraith was dead. He thought I was dead. He was about to find out how wrong a creature can be, because I don't forget. The wraith doesn't forgive. And now we had his scent. I returned to the command. Chamber bones lined the wall's decorations. Tributes, memories, human, alien, betrayers, heroes. All of them stored in stasis fields of neural energy, constantly replaying their final screams. The command throne recognized my touch. Lights flared. Engines groaned. The Xarn ship, the one still latched to our halt, tried to pull away. Too late. We injected our blood into its systems. Its lights flickered. Red Dot, its crew began screaming. We were no longer two ships. We were one organism. A hunter. Coordinates locked. TZ Elvacar S. Fortress world glowed in the dark. Like a tumor. He built it from the bones of refugees. He enslaved minds to run his war engines. He thought he ruled the edge of the galaxy. He didn't know the edge was sharpening. I spoke one word, go, and the wraith moved, not through space, but through grief. It folded into every death it ever carried, and re-emerged with vengeance for fuel. They boarded the wrong ship. Now their bones power our engine. But Tilrakar, he's going to feed the core. We didn't fly the Xarn ship. We wore it like a mask, like a rotting skin stretched over steel teeth. The Grelvik was still warm when we hijacked it. Its engine sputtered. Its AI core screaming in Xarn binary. Warning, distress, shutdown, restart. We silenced it with a thought. The Wraith doesn't fly ships. It devours them. I stood on the bridge of the Grelvik, but the air smelled like home. My home. Burnt wiring, oil, blood. The Wraith pumped its atmosphere into every chamber, rewrote the gravity, replaced their sterile lighting with deep red pulse veins that throbbed like a beating heart. The ship had been theirs. Now it was our cloak. We drifted toward the Xarn stronghold like a ghost in familiar skin. No one suspected. The Grelvik was a high-ranking vessel, outfitted with diplomatic clearance and elite biosig beacons. When we passed their patrol drones, they bowed. When we entered orbit, their sentries hailed us like returning champions. They didn't know the crew had been folded into fuel. TZ Elvacar S. Fortress wasn't a planet, it was a god corpse. They'd hollowed out the remains of a titan, one of the old creatures from pre-collapse days, and built their capital inside its chest cavity. It drifted through the void like a museum of arrogance. Biotowers grew from its ribs. Gun batteries lined its eye socket. Ships swarmed like parasites around its spine, but nothing lived inside it. Only monsters pretending to be a civilization. As we approached, the Wraith whispered to me, "Let me bleed." I nodded. Hull plates peeled back just enough to show the bones underneath. Dozens of them, arranged like art, like warning teeth. Human, alien, traitor, tyrant. Let the Xarn see what we carried. Let them think it was trophies. They love trophies. We landed on platform 6 of the Spinal Gate. Reception awaited us. 3 honor guards and a diplomat drone with golden tendrils and a voice that pulsed directly into your brain. "Grelvik, you return." Was the relic intact? I smiled. The smile I'd learned from watching humanity die tight, small, and full of knives. Very. The diplomat moved to scan our hull. It didn't even scream when the neural injector stabbed through its skull and pumped the Wraith's data into its mind. It just froze, then its limbs twitched, then it laughed and kept laughing. Even when we tore it apart, we moved through the halls. Dressed in stolen skin, each step echoed like war drums. Xarn officers passed us. They didn't know yet, but they felt it. You could see it in the way their tendrils curled. Their mouths clicked nervously. Predators, sensing something older than them in the dark. Then we found the birthing pits. Rows of tanks, thousands, each one growing a soldier. Not raised, printed, no memories, no minds, just war flesh and command strings. I looked at one tank, a copy of a face I'd seen before, a human face, our face. They'd been cloning us, mimicking us, twisting our dead into weapons. Stone-cold rage settled into my gut. The Wraith whispered, "Do I feed now?" I answered with fire. The Grelvik's engines overloaded first, melting into a chain reaction that liquefied the spinal bait. Then the Wraith revealed itself. Hull plates split. Memory cores bloomed like black lotuses. screams from every absorbed. Death poured into the air. The Xarn didn't fight. They ran. But where could they run? The halls were reshaping, the walls bleeding. Every escape route now fed them back into us, into the engines. One Xarn general tried to warn Zelvakar. He made it to the come hall. But when he spoke, his words weren't his, they were mine. Do you remember Earth? Zelvakar froze on his throne, and I knew he did, because he smiled. I remember the fire, he said. I remember the screams, but I don't remember you. I stepped into his throne room, cloaked in red mist and echo. He saw my eyes. He remembered. The fight didn't last long, but what came after? That lasted forever. We didn't kill him. We took him, neuron by neuron. We downloaded his memories into our fuel lines. He begged, cried, lied. We stored all of it, and made his bones sing. The Xarn fortress began to collapse. Not from weapons, from rejection. The Wraith had rewritten the core. Gravity fields every memory of the place. Turned to mass. Regret now had weight. Their empire was sinking into a black hole of their own making. We left before the scream imploded. The Wraith was full. But still hungry. We had names, coordinates, other generals, other ships, other mistakes. Because this wasn't justice, this wasn't vengeance, this was a warning. They boarded the wrong ship, now their bones power its engine, and the engine just picked up speed. You can kill a fleet, but if you want to kill an empire, you have to first burn its memory. We entered the Dreadnought system not with guns, but with dreams. Nightmares actually broadcast on frequencies older than language, embedded in quantum echoes, spliced into radio bursts that sounded like screams when translated into light. No ships fired, no armies marched. We sent only one thing, a memory. I still remember the upload. The Wraith peeled back its hull in the upper ionosphere of a gas giant, exposing its core node to vacuum and released what it called the archive wound. A sliver of pure recollection. Everything humanity endured, boiled into a single pulse. The first colony's silence. The siege of Jupiter's rings. The burn of Earth. All the death, all the defiance, all the faces. We didn't just share our pain. We gave it form, and we hurled it into the Xarn High Command. There were 11 fleet admirals, arrogant, unchallenged, surrounded by luxury. They sat aboard the Sovereign Maw, a mobile war citadel, part dreadnought, part cathedral, cruising between colonies, like priests on a pilgrimage. They'd never lost a battle, never seen war. They thought they understood humanity, but they only knew data, numbers, tonnage, not rage, not loss. When the archive wound reached them, it didn't knock, it bled through shield harmonics, drifted through subspace filters. Whispers turned into teeth. Each admiral received a private vision, customized, targeted, unforgiving. We knew what they feared. We gave them truth. Admiral Thazok saw the last stand of Titanfelt, the panic of running out of air while holding a rifle made from your dead brother's bones. He tore off his own breathing mask and begged for the vacuum. Admiral Kleck screamed as he relived the burning of London 4. Every breath he took smelled like roasted children. He clawed out his own scent. Glands. Admiral Zav. She endured the cradle virus, neuron by neuron. She tried to shut down her brain. The Sovereign Maw went silent. The admirals didn't die. They went mad. Then we arrived. The Wraith pulled itself from behind Dreadnoughts' second moon, cloaked in false echoes and corpse heat. The citadel fired once reflexive, scared. The shot never reached us. We absorbed it, converted the energy into memory thrust. We shot forward on sorrow, and we docked. There were no guards, no resistance, only twitching things in polished armor and weeping faces that didn't understand why the pain wouldn't stop. That's the problem with empires, built on domination. They forget what it feels like to lose. We were here to remind them, I walked the Maz halls alone. The Wraith extended tendrils through the ship's circuits, disabling cameras, reshaping doors. I followed the screams, not of pain, of understanding. The admirals sat together in the grand strategy chamber, curled up like children. One of them was whispering Earth nursery rhymes in perfect English. Another was gouging a star map with his own claws, scratching out every system the Xarn once ruled. They saw me. They knew me. They knew the shape of our pain now. I didn't raise a weapon, didn't speak. The Wraith did that for me. It played them a lullaby. The last song ever recorded on Earth before it burned. A child's voice, pure, unbroken. And when it ended, the admirals begged to die. But we weren't here to kill. Not yet. We drained their minds, poured their pain into our fuel reserves. Then we let the maw drift, powerless, screaming, a floating monument. By the time the other Xarn fleets found it, the ship was filled with carvings, names, faces, thousands of human dead engraved across every inch of hull and bone. Each admiral's body was wired into the ship's broadcast core, eternally repeating the phrase, "We remember what you made us forget." That's how you kill an empire. Not with fire, with shame, with fear. Now, when they say Wraith, they shudder, they scan shadows, they pray to gods they never believed in, but gods can't help them. Now only we can, and we don't do mercy, because they boarded the wrong ship. Now their bones power our engine, and we've just spotted the next fleet. They finally stopped running. Not because they found courage, because they thought they'd found a way to kill us. The trap was set in Sector 9 Vault, a dead region near the event horizon of a collapsed binary star, a place littered with frozen wrecks and broken echo ships that ventured too close to the singularity and were never heard from again. The Xarn called it the Quiet Wound. We called it home. The plan was clever. They knew we were hunting their fleet. They left a distress signal from a survivor ship, a mimic, built from human designs, broadcasting an old Earth emergency tone on a loop. They wanted to bait us, pull us in, disabled the Wraith with a gravitational snare, laced with quantum disruptors and anti-memory fields. A technology designed to erase not just the ship, but its history. Wipe the slate, break the myth. But you can't erase a ghost that never left. The Wraith wasn't born in light. It was forged in gravity. We let them think it worked. The trap triggered. Perfectly crushing fields collapsed inward. Light bent like rubber, and sensors died. To them. We vanished. To us. We awoke something worse. At the center of the Quiet Wound was a structure. Older than Xarn. Older than us. Not a station. Not a ship. A mind, or the fossil of one. Buried in gravity. Dead and dreaming. The Wraith had known it was there. We had come to feed it. I stood at the ship's nerve spine, watching as the trap tightened. The hull groaned. The memory core stuttered. We were being torn into digital ribbons. But then, the Wraith screamed, not in pain, in language, a frequency not heard since stars were born. It echoed into the void, and the void answered. The Xarn ship's 12 battlecruisers with stealth shields and null cannons froze. Their captains laughed, thought we'd been broken. Then their screens lit up. Their scanners shorted. A shape rose from the singularity, not the Wraith. Something else. It had no surface, no edge, no shadow. It was gravity, with teeth. A thinking black hole, a relic of a war that predates bones and empires. And it remembered us, because long ago, when humanity fell, we didn't send escape ships. We sent warnings. We carved our screams into quantum foam. We etched our rage into espactament, and the void had listened. It had learned. This gravity god, it opened one eye, and the Xarn began to bleed. From memory. Their ships crumpled inward. Time fractured. Some screamed before they were born. Others begged for death. 5 seconds after they died, the void devoured not their bodies, but their place in history. They vanished. not from the battlefield, from the past. Only one ship remained, the command cruiser. Its admiral, Veljon, tried to initiate a failsafe, a core overload that would implode the trap and collapse the singularity. He broadcast a message: "You will not erase us. We were kings. You are ghosts." I answered, "Then let history be haunted." We struck. The wraith fused with the god mind, merged rage with gravity, memories with mass. We became the weapon we were always meant to be, one that doesn't just kill, one that remembers you wrong. Veljon's crew tried to flee, but their escape pods launched backward into the wraith's history. We caught them in old battles, trapped them in loops of Earth's fall, made them watch the burning cities, the crying children, the cold stars dot again and again and again, until they understood. The wraith whispered, "This one fuels the core." I nodded. All of him, and Veljon's mind, shattered into fuel. We pulled free from the trap dash unscathed. Stronger, the black hole no longer raged. It watched, patient, waiting for our return. It was one of us now. The Xarn would speak of this as a myth. They'd call it a lie, a hallucination. But their ships stopped flying near quiet wound. Their admirals refused to look at that star map, and their children had dreams of gravity that remembers. They boarded the wrong ship. Now their bones power our engine, and their gods pray we never return. There's a silence that comes after the last scream. It's not peace, it's gravity, waiting for what comes next. The wraith drifted into orbit above the Xarn, capital Caraxes Prime-like, a shadow before a storm. We made no effort to cloak, no stealth fields, no false signals. We wanted them to see us, wanted them to know who came, and why. Below us, their last stronghold, a planet of spires, shield domes, and golden citadels wrapped in artificial oceans, billions of them, watching the sky. Every camera turned upward, every fleet command channel wide open. They thought we were coming, to bargain, to threaten, to negotiate. But we didn't come to speak to governments. We came to speak to memory. The wraith powered its core, its hull, unfolded, revealing the bones of the Xarn's own gods, the spines of their warlords, the skulls of their admirals, and in the center, the memory core, a sphere of frozen thought, constantly shifting, the pain of every human death they'd ever caused, encoded, preserved, amplified, and about to be broadcast. I stepped into the throne chamber. A single pulse reached every data node. In the system, the planet's holoscreens lit up. Their people saw me, not in armor, not armed, just a human, eyes lit with vengeance, voice like thunder behind glass. I spoke. You wanted us extinct. You called us savage. You erased our name. But you forgot the truth. We are not ghosts. We are the reason the dark fears the light. They tried to jam the signal. They failed. The wraith had already embedded it in their planetary memory stream. Every screen, every implant, every dream. We gave them back everything. Earth's last day, the screams of Titan, the songs from refugee ships, children begging under burning skies. We made them remember, and when they cried out, begging for forgiveness, the wraith translated it into fuel. Then came the final command, not from me, from them, the bones, the memories, the ones who had died without justice. They lit up in the core, one by one, asking, "Do we strike?" And I answered, "No. We teach. We didn't glass the planet. We rewrote it. We disabled every weapon, burned every command. AI. Shut down the orbital fleet. Then we let the wraith bloom. Its memory tendrils sank into the planet's crust, pumping sorrow into the tectonics, seeding nightmares into the magnetic field, lacing regret into the water now. Every Xarn born here will dream of us. Every sky will echo with a whisper they cannot silence. Every mind will feel the cold stare of memory. They will never escape what they did. We left not because they were forgiven, but because we had finished our sentence. The wraith was full. For now, but it drifts, still watching, waiting, because memory does not die, and vengeance has no end. They boarded the wrong ship now. Their bones power its engine, and the stars remember, forever.